Hello EPCC, welcome once again to our Tuesday night Bible study, and I invite you to our another exciting session on making the Old Testament easy. Well, I thank all of you for tuning in, for having the interest to learn more and to know more about the Word of God. And I think it's really good, commendable act from all of us to be willing to take this night off to really learn and to dive into the things that God has for us to learn about the Old Testament. And I pray that so far I have made the Old Testament easy for you. Okay, so we're going to jump into another session, which is session number 5 on understanding as well as knowing and making the Old Testament easy for all of us. All right, now this is session number 5. As I mentioned, we completed 4 sessions before this, and so these are what we have actually covered. All right, even though it is session number 5, but it is the 4 steps, right? The 4th step. So today we're going to cover the 4th step, or the 4th movement of events of the Old Testament that will allow you to capture or have the big picture of what God is doing and working in the Old Testament. Now, first of all, it is the 7 major moves of the people of the Old Testament. We talked about that. Secondly, we talked about the 20 key people in the Old Testament. Then we talked about the 3 major divisions of the Old Testament. That's what we covered last week, 3 major divisions of the Old Testament. And today, we're going to cover the 11 books that contain more than 95% details of the Old Testament. All right? So we're going to look at 11 books that will kind of tell you the whole story of the entire Old Testament. Isn't that interesting? Because many people do not know that these 11 books actually can sum up or summarize or give us an eagle's eye view of the entire Old Testament. But what about the other 28 books? Are they important? Yes, they are. Some of them are twin, or they carry repetitive informations, but also they do communicate the other messages that we need to know about the Old Testament. But somehow, these 11 books, if you know these 11 books, it will help you to understand and capture all that you need to know about the Old Testament narrative or stories. All right, so let's jump into it. This is step number 4. Yeah, even though it's session 5 because we had an introduction session. So this is step number 4. Remember, we talked about 8 steps that we are going to employ in this study in order to see the Old Testament clearer. So we are in step number 4 right now. And the step number 4 is, of course, the 11 books that contain more than 95% detail of the Old Testament. All right? Now, it is a surprise to many people to learn that more than 95% of the narratives or the story of the Old Testament is contained in only 11 books, right? Only 11 books. Now, if you take these 11 books by themselves, it gives you a continuous, uninterrupted story, just as continuous as a book that you will get off the shelf of any library or bookstore. That's how interesting and how easy the Old Testament is. So don't let the Old Testament intimidate you, okay? So I'm just making it easy for you to understand the narrative or the story that runs through the entire Old Testament. So what are the 11 books? Okay, let's look at the your notes. You have a notes that you can follow along. And of course, number 1, the book of Genesis, and the book of Exodus, and the book of Numbers, and the book of Joshua. These are 4 out of the 11. And Judges. All right, so these are 5 out of the 11 books. What are the books? 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, and 1 Kings, as well as 2 Kings. Well, what about Chronicles? We talk about Ezra, number 10th book. What about 1st and 2nd Chronicles? Where 1st and 2nd Chronicles, they are repetitive historical books that will tell stories that are mentioned already in 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings. So it is not necessary to be included in the 11 because a lot of the narratives on 1st and 2nd Chronicles are already covered in 1st Samuel, 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings. All right, now Ezra, and the last book is Nehemiah. All right, so these are the 11 books that will really allow you, if you follow them or know them, the history or the narrative or the story of all these 11 books, it will really help you to understand the Old Testament. All right, now the next. These 11 books establish the narrative or story of the Old Testament in your mind. Okay? Now, the remaining 28 books fit in place much easier and clearer if we understand the 11. All right? So, somehow, when we study a large portion of information of books from the Old Testament, it's good to single out the key ones and so that you can see how the remaining books or information fits into the big picture. So we are removing, or not say removing, but we are singling out the 11 so that you can see how everything fits into the big picture. All right, now highlights of the narrative books and the story contained in each of the books. All right, so I'm going to help you understand what are the important information covered or found in each of the books, so that you know, by just looking at them, you already know, oh, I know what Joshua will talk about. I know what Judges will talk about. I know what 1 Samuel or 1 Kings will talk about. So by knowing the highlights, not in detail, because we are not here to go into the detail, that is a separate study, but the highlights of the narratives or the story that contain in each of those books, okay? All right, so first and foremost, Genesis. Genesis talks about the creation of God to the death of Joseph in Egypt. From creation to the death of Joseph in Egypt. So that's what it covers pretty much. Remember, we talked about the movement, the 7 movement of God's people that we covered in the first step. So a lot of it are contained and it can be found in book of Genesis. So it starts off with creation and it ends with Joseph's death, where you will know that God's people were in Egypt because of Joseph's leadership, and they came because of the famine in where they were. And so this is how they grew until when we go to Exodus, we will find that they were already slaves because other pharaohs already subjugated them into slavery. All right, then we go to Exodus, the next book, the birth of Moses to the setting up of the tabernacle at Mount Sinai. So this is basically what you can encounter when you know Exodus. The next one, book of Numbers, is the wilderness journey from Mount Sinai until the arrival at the edge of the promised land and the preparation to enter. Not really entering, but they're coming to the edge, and God was dealing some things with them in the book of Numbers. And of course, Joshua, here onwards, we see Joshua, of course, Moses dies, and Joshua leading the people into the entrance and eventually to the conquest of Canaan, until the death of Joshua is highlighted in the book of Joshua. Of course, you know this famous story of the walls of Jericho and the conquest that came about from there onwards. All right, now what are the books? Book of Judges, the 400-year period of the Judges. You know, Judges has got a cycle of them, you know, being in good relationship with God, and they have success, and the success gets into their head, and then they go into the sin, and then the sin will lead them into a place of desperation. They cry out for God's help. God hears them, and then God sends another judge, and then leads them to victory and to greatness. And then after that, you know, from there, it will lead on to another downfall. And so it's a vicious cycle. But 400 period of the judges who reigned and ruled over Israel is mentioned in the book of Judges. 1 Samuel, the birth of prophet Samuel and the reign of Israel's first king, King Saul, is highlighted in the book of 1 Samuel. Of course, 2 Samuel highlights a lot of the reign of King David. All right, good to know that David's stories, a lot of it is highlighted in 2 Samuel. What about 1 Kings? First Kings highlights the reign of Solomon, the son of David, and the breaking away of the 10 of the 12 tribes to form a separate nation. Remember, Solomon's son, Jeroboam, Rehoboam, they split the nation into two. What we know as recorded in the scriptures as Judah and Israel. Remember, we talked about the divided kingdom, the reign of divided kingdom, which is Judah and Israel and all the kings that come along with those divided kingdom. And that's how, those are the informations found in First Kings. And also it talks about the story of Prophet Elijah. So a lot of Prophet Elijah, his miracle, his work, is all found in First Kings. What about Second Kings? All right, Second Kings speaks about the reign of the remaining kings of the divided kingdom until Israel is scattered by the Assyrians and Judah is carried captive to Babylon. Plus the story, of course, the great prophet Elisha. All right, Elijah in First Kings, Elisha in Second Kings. So somehow when you see bits and pieces of information placed in these books, so it gives you an idea how the whole of the Old Testament is all linked together. And that's why within these 11 books, you'll be able to understand 95% of all the information needed. All right, now Ezra. The next book is Ezra, book number 10. The return from Babylonian captivity. Remember, they were in First Kings, they were captured. They were sent to Babylon. This is the nation of Judah, right? Not Israel. Israel were captured by the Assyrians. They were scattered. And of course, eventually they will return. But the Babylonian exiles were coming back. And of course, we talked about the 4 different returns in the last session. And so Ezra outlines the return of from the Babylonian exile until the temple is rebuilt. And of course, finally, Nehemiah also brings with him a group of people who will come back, the final phase of the return from the exile and the rebuilding of the walls of Jerusalem. Remember, they have the temple, they have the people all returning back, but the walls are in shambles. The walls are important because they provide security and safety and protection for the people. But the walls are in shambles. They were all broken and they were not built. So in 52 days, Nehemiah will restore the walls. And it's an amazing feat that they have accomplished. And so all that historical or story or narrative all merged together to form 95% of all that we understand in the book, what we call as the Old Testament. All right. So I've given you the 11 books. I'm going to give you a quiz. All right. I'm going to give you a quiz to see whether you understood all that we covered in the 11 books that I just shared with you, that covers 95% of the critical information of the New Testament. Are you ready for the quiz? All right, let's have some fun lah. Don't need to be so serious always, okay? So let's have some fun. Okay, let's see the quiz. Can you name the books from the story they carry? So can you name them? So I'm going to give you the story. You fill in the name of the book. All right, so let's jump in. All right, first is this: the return from Babylonian exile until the temple is rebuilt. Remember, who is the individual who contributed a lot? Talks about the return from the Babylonian. A spiritual revival took place under him. If I've given you enough clues? Well, hold on, I don't give you the answer. I'll give you the answer after the second question for each slide, okay? So this is the final phase of the return from the exile and the rebuilding of the walls of Jerusalem. Very easy. We just talked about it only. Okay, first, Ezra. He's the one who brought the return from Babylon until the temple is rebuilt. Nehemiah. Yes, every time you look at the wall of Jerusalem, you remember Nehemiah. All right? So he is the hero in restoring the broken walls of Jerusalem. Okay, another question. The wilderness journey from Mount Sinai until the arrival at the edge of the promised land and the preparation to enter. Can you remember what's the book that covers this information? All right, the next one, I'll give you the answer after the second question. That means 2 questions in each slide. The entrance and the conquest of Canaan until the death of Joshua. There you go. There's some clue in that already. Remember conquest, key word conquest there. Okay, the first one, the wilderness journey from Mount Sinai until the arrival of the age of the promised land. This is Numbers. All right, the next one, Joshua. Yes, the clue is given to you over there. It's no brainer lah. Very easy. All right, the next one, the reign of the remaining kings of the divided kingdom until Israel is scattered by the Assyrians and Judah is carried captive to Babylon, plus the story of Elisha. Remember which one? Elisha, story of Elisha. If you cannot remember, just remember Elisha's story alone. Second Kings. All right? This one only one question in one slide. Next one. The 400-year period of the judges. Very easy. All right? And the next one, the birth of Prophet Samuel and the reign of Israel's first king, King Saul. The first kings. Very, very easy. Clues are given to you. Judges, 400-year period of the judges. First Samuel. There you go. Samuel is there. First king of Israel, King Saul is there. Easy. First Samuel. All right. Now, next one. The creation to the death of Joseph in Egypt. Creation story. So this is how you remember what each book, what is the information contained in each book. So you don't need to be worried like, oh, Genesis. Oh, I don't know what Genesis carries. Remember, starts off with creation, ends with Joseph's death in Egypt. All right. So Genesis, of course. You know, the next one, Exodus, the birth of Moses to the setting up of the tabernacle at Mount Sinai. Very easy. You know, when you hear the word Moses and tabernacle, somehow it clicks. All right. All right. See if there's any more quiz for you. All right. The reign of David. Which book carries the information of the reign of David? Okay. What about the reign of Solomon, David's son? The breaking away of 10 of the 12 tribes to form a separate nation, right? Which is, well, of course, the 10 out of the 12 will be Israel, and of course the other 2 will form Judah. So it becomes the divided kingdom, and the reign of the divided kingdom plus the story of Prophet Elijah. Just now we talked about Elisha, right? So what are the books? Okay, 2 Samuel, reign of David, and First Kings, the reign of Solomon, and then the breaking away. We see that happen. Very sad that, you know, a glorious reign of King David, but then we see the nation breaks away because of Solomon's sons who actually could not rule well. Well, anyway, these are the questions, and I pray that you have captured the 11 books that carries important information about 95% of all that you need to know about the Old Testament. All right, now since we have a little bit more time, I'm going to give you something, a bonus session. All right, I'm going to give you a bonus session, and this bonus session is really fun because I'm going to help you to understand or to know simple ways how to memorize all the 39 books. So most people, when they say, wow, 39 books, how to remember all of them? So long and so many books, Pastor, how to remember? That's why you are in this class called Making Old Testament Easy. So now I've helped you in session 5, session 5, but step number 4, on just digesting 95% of the Old Testament information. And we use those 11 books. We have done it, all right? And you know all the 11 books. You passed the quiz even. So good. So now let me help you to make the Old Testament easy by helping you to know how to memorize all the 39 books. I'm sure you want to know. And this, I call it a bonus session. All right, let's jump into the bonus session. All right, what's the bonus session today? in this bonus session, I'm going to have fun with you because a lot of people find it very hard to remember all the 39 books. They may probably remember the first 5 and then the last 5, but they cannot remember all. But maybe I hope that this session will help you to remember, memorize all 39 books of the Old Testament. All right, first and foremost, how to memorize all the books of the Old Testament. All right, so we're going to use simple ways, acronyms, even different simple methods that we use, like food or names of people, in order to memorize all the 39 names. In the internet, there's plenty of ideas how you can memorize all those books. All right, the internet, it's true. There are many of ideas where, like in the YouTube, you can go and find. But I'm going to help you to just get simple steps how to capture the 39 books. All right. So I hope it will help you. Now, first of all, the first question we need to ask is, how many books are there in the Old Testament? All right. Of course, in the Old Testament, the word O-L-D is 3 letters. O-L-D. So 3. And then the word testament carries 9 letters. Right? So 3 and 9. There you go. 39 books. So that's how you remember. Right? So O-L-D, T-E-S-T-A-M-E-N-T, that's 9. So 3, 9, so 39. Easy, right? So now the next one. What about the books? How the books are arranged. Okay, first and foremost, we know how the books were arranged. We covered that in session number, in step number 3, right? Step number 3, we covered this. Right? They are divided by 17, 5, 7. Right? 17 historical books, 5 poetical or wisdom books, and 17 prophetical books. All right? So very easy. 17 books historical, and the historical are divided 5 law and 12 history. So, but we lump them all as historical, because even the 5 law books carries a lot of historical evidences, historical information about the nation. All right, like their Exodus, like the 7 movement and all that stuff. All right, now 5 books, poetical or wisdom books, and 17 books which are prophetical. So 17, 5, 17, easy. No need to sweat, no need to make life difficult in trying to understand the word that God has given us. He will never make us go through hardship to understand His beautiful and wonderful word. All right. So, okay, let's find ways to memorize them. 17. Okay, how do you memorize the 17 historical books? That means it will be 5 plus 12. That's how we break it up. 5 law, 5 historical, even though both are, as I said, lumped into historical. So 5, 12, right? Remember that. So 17 historical books are divided to 5 and 12. Once again. So we start with the 5 books, the 5 books of the law. Okay, how do you remember Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy? Of course, I can remember Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy because I say that often and over and over. Or we know this in Greek as Pentateuch, the law. In Hebrew, it's called the Torah. Remember? So Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. So in order, you may forget Genesis, Exodus, then you think, oh, which one comes first after Exodus? So, okay, this is how you can remember. God's eternal love never dies. So take the first alphabet of each of that word. God's eternal love never dies. G-E-L-N-E. So when you pull out all those letters of that word, of each word, so you get Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. See, very easy. So remember this. God's eternal love never dies. So, these are captions and statements that can be, can remain long and forever in our mind because we remember it by using a very clear biblical truth, which is God's eternal love never dies. And somehow, by remembering this biblical truth, you pull out the letter of each word. All right, now, let's move on. We covered the first 5 books of the law. What about the other 12? This is where it gets challenging because it's 12 books. Don't worry. There's an easy way to memorize them. 12 historical books. Now, I put a picture of a courtroom because this is how I want you to remember. Courtroom. How does courtroom help me to remember the 12 historical books? So we're going to break it down a little bit by little bit, okay? So not all of them contained in the 12, in the courtroom scene. First, the 12 historical books, because of the courtroom, I want you to remember this. Joshua, Judges, Ruth. There you go. Joshua, Judges, Ruth. So this is how the books are arranged. The 12 historical books. Alright? So you remember the courtroom scene. You covered the God's eternal love never dies. You covered that. But now you remember courtroom. The courtroom helps me to remember the next 3 books. Joshua, Judges, Ruth. Okay, very easy. And then the remaining of the 6 books, all right? The remaining of the 6 books, if you can think of the first alphabet of each of the book, all right? But put it in not in alphabetical order, but reverse alphabetical order. What do I mean by that? The next 6 books are 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, 2 Kings, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles. You see, Chronicles, Kings, Samuel. So alphabetically they are reversed. C first, of course, then Kings, K, S. So you just remember them that way. So you remember that these two twin books are 1 Kings, 2 Kings. Sorry, 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, 2 Kings, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles. They come in that order. So you got the courtroom scene, Joshua, Judges, Ruth. The next thing is that the 6 books are based on alphabetically but reverse. It starts with Samuel, Kings, and then Chronicles. All right. So then, how do we remember? So we covered 3 and 6. So we have covered 9. So remaining another 3 more books. You covered the 12. Okay. So we remember by using a marker in a compass. How is that? East, northeast. East, northeast. So remember by Joshua, Judges, Ruth, and then you go to remember 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, 2 Kings, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles, and then you remember by using the compass, east, northeast, right? East, northeast. So, and that will help you to remember Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther, right? Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther. There you go. You have covered all the 12 historical books. Very easy, right? Now, let's go and see how do we remember the 5 poetical or wisdom books. 5 only. Easy. You've just covered 17. All right? You just covered 17. So, 5 is piece of cake. All right? 5 poetical or wisdom books that we're going to look at. All right. What are they? Of course, we know what are they. We have covered it in the last session. But let's try to remember it so that you will know and it's easy for you to place them in the order that we see when we flip our Bible. All right. Now, first, remember this. Jesus provides people eternal strength. Right? So you can use this. Jesus provides people eternal strength. Okay, but Jesus, so the first alphabet, J. What is J? What is that J? So sometimes it could be hard, right? What is J? Is that Joel? Is that Jonah? Is that Job? But remember, these are poetical or wisdom book. Jonah, Joel, they are prophetic books. So, what book falls under the poetical or wisdom books? Now, in another way, you can remember so that you use the name, the first name. I mean, the name of the first individual who wrote the book of all the out of the 5 poetical or wisdom book. For example, I use this way: Job provides people exciting story, isn't it? Because book of Job is about human suffering and how God plays his part in the human suffering, right? Job suffered tremendously. But Job's story is an exciting story of how you overcome suffering, hardship, difficulty, how you put God in the equation. So I remember by using Job provides people exciting story. All right, or you can even use Jesus provides people eternal strength, whichever is easy for you. All right, you make it out. That whatever that helps to remain strong in your mind. Okay, those are the books. Job, of course, easy. Job. Then the next P is Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Songs of Solomon or Song of Songs. Right? So these are the 5 wisdom or poetical book. Very easy. All right. Job provides people exciting story. Remember this. Job provides people exciting story. Jesus provides people, same, eternal strength. So which comes easy and which stays easy in your mind? You use them to configure an easier method for you to remember all those books, right? 5 poetical or wisdom book. Now we come to the 17 prophetical books. We are on the way to memorizing all. Don't give up. It's easy. The 17 prophetical book also same. Like the 17 historical, we divide it into 5, 12. So 5, 12, right? 5 major prophet, 12 minor prophets. All right? Doesn't mean the major prophets are more important than the minor prophets. It is just that the volume of information they carried were more. All right? And they played some critical role in the history of Israel at that time. And of course, all the other minor prophets also played important role. But, and they are divided into major and minor. All right, let's look at the 5 major prophets. How do we remember this? So let's use something that is not so spiritual, okay? At least you take a shift, right? Just now we used things like God's eternal love never dies. Then we use things like, Jesus provides people eternal strength, or Job provides people exciting story. So now let's go into something not so spiritual, right? For major prophets, we use this. In June, let's eat donut. Something that is not so serious, okay? In June, let's eat donut. Okay, so how do I arrange all those books based on this? In June, let's eat donut. So always remember, the major prophet, right? Major prophet starts with Isaiah. So you remember this. Isaiah in June. Jeremiah, let's, L, lamentation, and then E, Ezekiel, eat, and then D, donut, Daniel. So Isaiah, Jeremiah, lamentation, Ezekiel, Daniel. And another way how I remember besides using this, the way I use it is like this. I use the word, I use a play on words, or play on the names of the prophets. Like for example, Isaiah, Jeremiah, I use the word seeing, right? Isaiah, Jeremiah, Isaiah. So I'm using play on words, right? Isaiah, Jeremiah with what? LED. LED is the light, right? A light that is used in many places, in your car, maybe in the stereo, or in our microphone, or in all the gadgets. They're all small lights are LED. So those helps to illuminate or to help people to see. So I use this play on words. Isaiah, Jeremiah with LED, all right? So LED, Isaiah is Isaiah, Jeremiah with LED, with lamentation, Ezekiel, Daniel. So sometimes, if you find that in June, let's eat donut, a bit hard to remember all the prophets' name with the first letter, then you use something more catchy and easy. Isaiah, Jeremiah with LED. So you work it out. You formulate what makes easy and what works easy for you. All right? Okay, now we are coming to the 12 minor prophets. Let me tell you, we are coming to the home run. Don't give up. It's easy, guys. It's easy. All right, 12 minor prophets. We've covered the major prophets. How are we going to do this? We're going to use having Jesus always offers joy. Okay? Having Jesus always offers joy. All right, so again, once again, by taking all the first letter of each of that word or that sentence, that each word having Jesus always offer joy. The first word, the first letter: Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, and Jonah. All right, Hosea, Joel, or Joel, Amos, Obadiah, and Jonah. So that's how you remember. Having Jesus always offers joy. Right? Hey, look, you can come up with something of your own in order to remember the final 12 minor prophets. Okay, then besides that, there's another way to remember by using the name of the first prophet, then the rest will fall in place. 7 more to go. Not difficult. Hang on there, people. All right, so I'm going to use this. Micah's new happy zookeeper. Hoist zebra manure. So hoist is like to lift. Okay, zebra manure. You know what it is. Now, so it's like a zookeeper at work, picking up the zebra's manure. So I use the word Micah so that it clicks for me quickly that that's the name of the first prophet. All right. So how you come up with the names of the rest of the prophets, the minor prophets? Just let's look at it. Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. Yay, we did it. 39 books, guys. We did it. So remember, 17, and it's divided to 5 and 12. 5 law, 5 historical. Of course, we lump it as historical. And the next one is easy. 5 poetical and wisdom. And then another 17. 5 and 12. 5 major and 12 minor. So if you want to remember, 5, 12, 5, 5, 12. 5, 12, 5, 5, 12. So I'm just giving you many ways and methods to remember and memorize the books of the Old Testament. Okay, guys? So very easy. Few keywords to remember. God's eternal love never dies. That's where you get the first 5 books of the law. And then the historical books, Joshua, Judges, Ruth. And then followed by the twin books, which is 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, 2 Kings, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles. And then the compass, east, northeast, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther. All right, and that's a historical book. And then we come to the 5 poetical book. Remember, we can use Job provides people exciting stories, or Jesus provides people eternal strength. Job, Psalms, and then it's Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Songs of Solomon. All right, then the 17 prophetical books. They were coming to the final 17 prophetical books. The major prophet in June, let's eat donut, or Isaiah, Jeremiah with LED. All right, you see Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentation, Ezekiel, Daniel. And then the remaining minor prophets will be having Jesus always offers joy. Yay, having Jesus always offers joy. And you get Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, and Jonah. And then we come to the Micah's new happy zookeeper, hoist zebra manure. So you get Micah, the first name is there, giving you the clue. Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. There you go. You can memorize the 39 books of the Old Testament. So, I pray that this bonus session has helped you to capture and not to be intimidated by the Old Testament anymore. We covered 95% of the information is all found in 11 books. So easy. You just need to know the 11 books and then learn to memorize. So next time, when you have your Bible and the pastor say, let's turn to the book of Zephaniah. Hey, you know where it is. You know it's in the minor prophet. You know where location, you know where to go. Alright, if the pastor say, okay, let's go to the book of Psalms. Alright, you know where to go because it's in the poetical wisdom book and you can see it in your mind, the location of all those books. So I pray the Lord will help you to capture, and I pray I've made Old Testament a little bit easy for you. God bless you guys. We'll see you again in the next session. Thank you very much.